Hi everybody, Sister Scaleback Kathy coming in for, I think it's my week 63 gastric bypass RNY update. Been away for a few weeks. I'll get to the reasons why shortly here, but I did have RNY gastric bypass June 16th, 2014 at Toronto Western Hospital in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. My highest weight was 361 pounds. A few weeks later, after some OptiFast, my surgery weight was 339 pounds. And last time I came to was 2 weeks ago. I was 232 pounds. So I was 1 pound away from being 130 lost total. This week, 2 weeks later, I am up 5 pounds. I'm at 237. Very valid reasons for that, and I'll explain in a minute. But most of it just stressful situations and stressful eating. A couple of updates on Jerry. Well, one big update on Jerry. He is going to meet a surgeon this week. He's very excited. Finally, after a long summer of being off, he's a school bus driver, so he was hoping to have it done this summer, but you can't hurry a surgeon, that's for sure. They had to have some holidays as well, so he finally got the call. He's going to be going this week, and he should have a surgery date by the end of the week. I'm hoping to make a video with him, and he can announce that date if he chooses to, and tell you how he's feeling. I'm excited for him, and I know that he almost gave up. He didn't think that it was going to happen, just because of how long it was taking. So a couple of other announcements. Obesity Help Conference for me those plans are canceled. My last video I was struggling with whether or not I should go, and some health issues with my mother and the fact that I'm starting a new job both have basically decided for me that I can't go, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. There is the WLSFA in May, and God willing, I will be going to that one. I've already reserved my room, so let's hope that everything stays stable. Yeah, try that. And I will probably need that little getaway by then. So the reason for the 5 pound gain, last Wednesday, my stepdad left to go to Greece, and my mom took him to the airport, and there was a lot of stress and a lot of rushing and a lot of, going fast. And she has COPD. And she's a smoker. And when she got home from taking him to the airport, all by subways and buses, of course, she just felt very, very tired and lethargic and needed to sleep. So when I called her last Wednesday at 7 p.m. and she was sleeping, I was a little surprised. I'm like, I kind of woke her up. She seemed real groggy, and the stress. So, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And the next day came Thursday, and I went to the gym early. For some strange reason, I'm not a morning person, as you know, but I decided to go early. And I come home around noon, and she hadn't called yet, which is very strange. My mother calls every day, at least once, if not twice or 3 times a day. So by 2 p.m., 2:30, 2 p.m., something like that, I called her and woke her up. Barely. She was very groggy and slurry and said she's just so groggy and exhausted and didn't want to wake up. So I asked if she was all right. She said, yeah, I need to sleep. And she hung up. And it just didn't seem right. So I packed all my stuff and drove there. And she's a 2-hour drive away from me. And she lives in downtown Toronto, and she's alone now because my stepdad just left for Greece. So I was worried about her. I get there, knock on the door. She didn't answer. So I fumble for the right key because I have like several different ones. And get myself in there, and she's still sleeping. And she can barely wake up. And when I did manage to get her up, she fell immediately. So I had to call an ambulance. We went to the hospital. And it turns out, from 8 o'clock that night till 8 o'clock the next morning, she was in the emergency room being given steroids and puffers and drips, masks. They just before 6 a.m., they started asking me about ventilators and power of attorney, and that if she didn't come too soon, that was going to have to be an option. And I'm like, well, her husband just went to Greece, so I got to go and get a hold of him. So I run back to the house and try to find the contact number for him. And his phone book for all of his contacts are all in Greek. Like when they say it's all Greek to me, it's not, I'm not even kidding you. I could not figure out any of his writing in his contact books. Never mind the country code and all this stuff you have to know. But finally, after half an hour of internet and trying to figure it out, I got a hold of him. I called a restaurant near where his village is, and they got him. So I'm preparing him that this has happened, and it didn't look good. And then he's like, you're her closest, oldest daughter, and so you're just going to have to make the decision. So I go back to the hospital, and thankfully a lot of my friends and family had been praying, and got back to the hospital, and she was sitting up talking to doctors and nurses like nothing happened. So that just goes to show you can go, death's door 1 minute to back to yourself the next. Anyways, they admitted her, and so she was there for the rest of that week, and they released her on Monday. I stayed with her and brought her back to my house because she can't be alone. Now, with all of that being said, I used to smoke. I smoked for 20 years. I started when I was 13 and I quit when I was 33. So I smoked, by the time I quit, I was 2 packs a day, Export A, which is one of the strongest cigarettes you can smoke. And I quit because my stepdad could outwalk me, and it was very shocking when I realized after a hike that I was bent over huffing and puffing and he wasn't even breaking a sweat. This was back in 2000 that I quit. So some of you may notice I still have raspiness. I still do this quite often, and I attribute this mostly, like even though I've had x-rays and I've had tests, and it says I'm clear, I attribute it to damage I've done to my lungs over the 20 years I smoked heavily. I'm also a past addict for alcohol years ago. So, I know about addiction. I have friends who have and are going through it. And my own mother now is struggling to try and quit smoking. And it's a terrible thing to know that it's killing you and yet to still need it. She's on the patch. She's on medication to help her not want to smoke. And even with those things, she still smokes. She also doesn't want to stay with her children and wants to go back home alone and be on her own. And she has a very old house in Toronto, and her washroom is downstairs in the basement. And she has to go downstairs, and she's fallen many times. She has balance issues, and a lot of what her problem was is called CO2 retention. So it's not so much that she needs the oxygen, she does, but when you're active and you're going, like when she was busy going to that airport, she was, breathing heavily as she's walking fast. You're getting it in, but CO2 retention means you can't blow it out. So it's building up, kind of like carbon monoxide, only it's carbon dioxide. And you get very tired very fast, and then eventually unconscious, and then eventually die. So if I hadn't have shown up, she probably wouldn't have woke up. I can't let her go home and be alone until my stepdad gets back from Greece, which won't be until October. So I don't know how you hold someone against their will, because I obviously can't, and she won't stop smoking, so I can't force it. I'm doing the best I can do. I'm not going to show her this video. My mom does have a computer, but unless I actually give her the link to this video, she doesn't actually know how to find it. My brother, on the other hand, will see it, and don't get mad at me for venting personal issues. I have to vent it. I have to get it out. My mom has actually gone to visit my sister at the moment, so I'm free to make this video. Anyways, this is not weight loss related, but it is in a way, because I need everyone to realize that emergencies and crises happen. And when I was in the hospital from Thursday to Monday, almost completely nonstop, you know, I did take my protein shakes and some chicken to my mom's, and you know, but I very rarely went back there. And if I did go back there, it was literally exhaustion and just fall asleep. So most of my eating was done at Tim Hortons, Subway sandwiches, which at least had the meat in it. I kept trying to reason to myself. Pizza. I even, you know, because I was bringing stuff up to my mother, and she loves cinnamon rolls and Timbits, which are little round balls of donuts that they make at Tim Hortons. So I was even indulging in some of that. Anyway, 5 pounds, it's understandable in 2 weeks. But at almost 15 months post-op RNY, the regain is very real, and it can happen so fast just from a few days of going off plan. So please say a little prayer for my mother that she can quit smoking. As the doctor said, even if she quits smoking, the same thing that just happened to her can happen again, because there is no cure for COPD, and she will always have this level of impairment. The key is to not make it worse. So, one more thing I wanted to say real quick. Sorry it's going so long, guys. A couple of videos ago, I sat in my backyard and I announced a giveaway for my 300 subscribers. So if you stayed to the 13-minute mark or so and you heard me talking about that, and you left an Elvis comment down below like I had asked, anything with the word Elvis in it, you are now entered into that giveaway, and I'm going to do that draw here in just a second. I'm going to use the random.org app that I see everybody using, and I'll just do a little clip of that at the end of this video for everyone to see that I'm doing it the proper way. It's going to be for the cell phone armband that I was showing, and if you are the winner, just let me know in a message, or you can email me at kathydadson@gmail.com or sister.scaleback@gmail.com, and let me know what size your cell phone is and what address to send it to. So thanks for listening to me ramble, guys, and I'll probably make a separate video for the winner. How's that? Because then I don't have to piece it all together. My my mental capacity at the moment is almost drained. So I'm really happy for everybody that had surgery, all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. I'm not normally so, you know, back and forth like this, but I will do a much better video next week. Follow me on Facebook, Catherine Dadson, if you haven't subscribed. And we'll talk to you next week, hopefully, guys. Have a good time. Bye.